started as a simple camera showdown between the Xiaomi 17 Ultra, Oppo Find X9 Ultra, and Vivo X300 Ultra turned into something completely different. After days of shooting and testing, I realized something surprising. A truly fair comparison is almost impossible. I already captured all the photos and videos, but forcing a direct winner just didn't feel honest. So instead, I want to show you what really happens behind smartphone camera reviews, the messy part nobody talks about. In theory, the fairest way to test cameras should be comparing high-resolution RAW files. Sounds simple, right? But here's the problem. Xiaomi doesn't support 50-megapixel RAW on its ultra-wide or telephoto cameras, so instantly the comparison breaks. And once you switch shooting modes, things get even crazier. Every brand uses different image processing, different tuning, different styles. There are so many modes that creating one fair standard becomes nearly impossible.
Big thanks to my tech partner over in China for providing this footage. I really appreciate the support in making this video happen. Hey everyone, Stella here from techiestreet. If you're into staying updated with the newest gadgets, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our latest tech content.
Normally, we test indoors first, then outdoors to keep results balanced. At first, I planned to compare the shared 50-megapixel Pro mode on all three phones. Indoors, this 14mm ultra-wide sample actually showed Oppo pulling ahead of Vivo in detail after zooming in. But outside, Vivo's suddenly looked better again. That shift probably comes from how Oppo processes images differently. So I simplified everything and switched to default 12-megapixel mode instead. And honestly, that didn't solve much either. Sometimes all three phones looked very similar. Other times, Oppo and Xiaomi showed noticeable differences outdoors. Vivo also uses a different focal length, which makes side-by-side comparisons even harder. Then I thought, maybe sharpening is easier to compare. Nope, that got even stranger. In one outdoor shot, Xiaomi clearly applied much heavier sharpening than the X9 Ultra, but indoors, the sharpening between them suddenly became almost identical. Then things got even weirder. In this scene, Oppo mistakenly detected the mirror reflection, so the processing became overly aggressive and distorted the image. I changed the angle slightly, took another shot, and suddenly everything looked perfect again. This happens constantly during testing. And in another scene, the results flipped again. This time, Oppo looked sharper while Xiaomi appeared more natural. The crazy part? My shooting position stayed almost identical the entire time. Yet sharpness, tones, and colors kept changing between shots. Sometimes the color consistency was completely different from one photo to the next. So which image is the real comparison? And color itself is subjective anyway. Every brand has its own style, filters, and tuning. That's why objective smartphone camera comparisons are far harder than most people realize. Honestly, if I wanted to, I could keep taking photos until one phone looked better under certain conditions, but that wouldn't be fair. That's why I decided to cancel the original landscape camera comparison. Still, after shooting so much footage, a few important things became very clear. Before testing, we updated every phone, reset all camera settings, and shot everything in standard 12-megapixel mode. On Oppo, we even disabled the super light priority option to keep things consistent. After all the testing, Xiaomi actually felt the most balanced overall. Oppo's color tuning sometimes looked unusual, while Vivo occasionally showed inconsistencies. Xiaomi simply felt more stable across different scenes. But the moment you switch filters, tones, or shooting modes, everything changes again. And that's exactly why these tests are so difficult. Now let's talk about weaknesses. Xiaomi struggles most with telephoto performance. Once you move away from the native focal length, the processing can become inconsistent and sometimes makes obvious mistakes. Oppo benefits from stronger optical zoom hardware, while Vivo's algorithms feel smoother and more stable overall. So honestly, every phone has strengths and weaknesses.
Now let's talk portraits, because this is where things get really interesting. The European version delivers a much more natural portrait look overall, especially the background blur. It feels closer to real optical blur instead of fake software processing. And surprisingly, the same pattern continues at night too. Even though the European Vivo includes a multi-spectral lens, the improvement over Xiaomi in low light honestly isn't as huge as you might expect. But flash portraits? Totally different story. Vivo takes a very aggressive approach here. It darkens the background while heavily brightening the subject. Combined with its stronger zoom flash, the photos instantly look more dramatic and eye-catching. But there's a catch. Sometimes the processing goes too far. Faces can start looking overly edited, even slightly unnatural. So honestly, it comes down to personal preference and which style you like more. And then there's Vivo's insane 120x zoom. The algorithms work so aggressively that sometimes it almost feels like the phone is creating details that weren't even there. It looks crazy. Now moving to video recording. Daytime video actually surprised me. The European Vivo's ultra-wide and main camera quality felt weaker than expected. Vivo also showed some strange color shifting in certain scenes. Compared to that, Xiaomi's video looked much more natural overall. But telephoto video? Vivo easily takes the lead. And honestly, that makes sense. Vivo clearly optimized heavily for concerts and long-distance shooting. You can tell that was a major focus. Then night video changes everything again. Vivo's highlight control becomes noticeably weaker, while Xiaomi delivers the best balance between exposure and color reproduction. I tested this multiple times and kept seeing the same result. On paper, Vivo's narrower telephoto view should help exposure performance, but in real-world shooting, it still couldn't match Oppo or Xiaomi consistently. I also tested professional log video mode, and here Xiaomi clearly falls behind. You can spot color banding pretty easily in some areas of the footage. Vivo's log mode simply feels more polished, easier to grade, and much more usable overall. And at the 10x 230mm focal length, Vivo is honestly on another level compared to Oppo. The results are seriously impressive. So after all this testing, which phone should you actually buy? If you mainly want beautiful photos straight out of the camera and don't care much about telephoto, Xiaomi is probably the best choice. Personally, I'd recommend the Leica version because the regular version just doesn't feel as worth it. Right now, Xiaomi's default processing combined with Leica tuning creates a really smooth and enjoyable shooting experience. Now, if you use telephoto more often, care about convenience, and aren't obsessed with tiny image quality differences, then the Oppo Find X9 Ultra makes more sense. To me, this generation doesn't feel as impressive as the older X8 Ultra in pure image quality. The color tuning can feel a bit unusual sometimes, and the telephoto output leans softer. But overall, the focal length transitions are smooth, daily usability is solid, and Oppo's system experience is still excellent. For normal daily use, the X9 Ultra is still a very good phone. As for the Vivo X300 Ultra, it honestly feels like the most balanced package overall. The consistency across focal lengths gives you way more creative freedom. The 14mm, 35mm, and 85mm setup is genuinely fun to shoot with. And even Xiaomi cropping from 100 to 230mm still can't quite match Vivo cropping from 85mm to 230mm. That's where Vivo clearly pulls ahead. Because of that, I think the X300 Ultra is especially great for photography enthusiasts who don't own a dedicated camera. Aside from weaker night video, Vivo's telephoto log mode is genuinely excellent. But honestly, every brand has strengths and weaknesses. There's no absolute winner here. I just hope this video gives you a better reference point. And honestly, I'd love to hear how you think smartphone landscape photography should be reviewed in the future. If you've watched my channel before, you probably know I don't obsess over tiny image quality differences. I care more about the overall experience, because at the end of the day, a smartphone is just a tool you use every single day. If it's reliable, convenient, and enjoyable, that already matters a lot more than pixel-peeping tiny differences. My goal with reviews has always been simple: clearly explain where a phone is great and where it still needs work. But at the same time, avoiding these detailed landscape comparisons completely also feels incomplete. So honestly, I may not make these comparison videos as often in the future.
And let's be real for a second. Ultra flagship phones are insanely expensive, and smartphone technology moves ridiculously fast. After just 1 or 2 years, the image quality gap compared to launch can already become noticeable. That's one of the biggest differences between smartphones and traditional cameras. A dedicated camera can deliver almost the same image quality for many, many years, sometimes close to a decade. That long-term stability is still a huge advantage for real cameras. But great photography has never been only about equipment. Smartphones are still capable of taking incredible photos too. And honestly, that's exactly why the smartphone versus camera debate online gets so intense. Maybe we'll dive deeper into that topic in another video. But now I want to hear your opinion. Is it smarter to buy a cheaper, near flagship phone plus a real camera? Or is going all in on a flagship phone the better move? Let me know in the comments. See you guys in the next video. Bye!